shine your light on.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight with your award-winning host, Dale Davidson. Dale interviews fascinating guests from top-ranked celebrities to people just like you who have an important story to tell. For more than 15 years, Dale has broadcast every week from the fabulous Las Vegas Strip. He finds the people who really make Las Vegas a one-of-a-kind city and lets the world know just what's happening in this remarkable town. You'll discover why 50 million people visit the entertainment capital of the world every year. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of Las Vegas Tonight.
Welcome to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Thank you so much for tuning in. And believe me, are you going to be glad? Yes, you are. We have a fantastic guest. His name is Nelson Sardelli. He is a longtime entertainer, the complete entertainer, he's known as, and a Las Vegan for many years. He's seen and done it all here. Ladies and gentlemen, we present the amazing Nelson Sardelli.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
You make it sound so good. I want to meet him.
Thank you, Nelson. Thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Let's rewind a little bit to the beginning of your life.
Sure.
You were born in Brazil, I understand.
Yes, I was. My mother happened to be there at the time. She was pregnant, so I had very little. I could not avoid it, so I was born there according to plan.
That's right. That was supposed to happen. The Lord wanted it then.
Yes.
And you were originally, you and your parents were from Italy?
Yes, everybody, both sides, they are full-blooded Italians, and I was born in Brazil, so I guess I am the same.
Yes. Now, was your first language Portuguese?
Portuguese, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you spoke some Italian at home?
Actually, Italian, oddly enough, there was always Italian songs being played in my house.
Yes.
But they only spoke Italian when we're not supposed to capiche, you know? Yeah, when we're not supposed to understand.
Mom and Dad, we're going to talk about you.
Yeah, it's funny. My father, also because he was, for many years, he was a policeman, and the accent was one of his concerns, because as soon as the Second World War broke up, he resigned the police because he felt that as an Italian with an accent, being a first sergeant, he kind of said, I'm not going to put you in a jail. You say, no, you're not. So he became a lawyer instead. Yeah. So Italian, I learned actually after my father died 2 weeks before I was 15 years old. And right about that time, this young girl moved from Italy across the street from my house.
Yeah. And
was surprised that I learned Italian in 2 weeks. And I would have learned Polish if she was Polish. It's amazing.
I've heard that about
it's
you.
Amazing.
A ladies' man.
No, but it's they say that if you have, there's such a thing as tribal memory, and whatever your ancestors were, it will be easy for you to learn the language.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yes.
At the time, like I said, she was Italian. I learned Italian suddenly.
You know, you just need an objective.
Exactly.
And you had a goal.
An incentive is all that you need, or a kick in the behind. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
And when did you come to the U.S.?
I came to the U.S. in 1956, about May 1956. And even though I came totally legally and completely according to the law, I came on a joke.
Really?
Because I used to work for General Motors of Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Economic Research and Analysis Division.
Wow.
Ooh.
A brainiac.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And there was 3 of us that were friends working at General Motors, me, Manuel, and Roberto. Roberto was being groomed to be a big deal in General Motors.
An executive.
In Brazil, yes.
Yeah.
They prepared him. He was growing up already in Brazil. Then they sent to Michigan to be in General Motors overseas operations.
Oh, okay.
And he said, would you guys want to come? I said, sure, send us an affidavit, we'll go. You know,
thinking it would never happen.
I was, sure, I go. And the son of a gun sent the affidavit.
He did it.
And Brazilians we came.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no knowledge
said
of the language, which hasn't changed much. But
No, you
yeah.
speak very, very well.
Well, I beat people on Scrabble, so I'm doing fine.
So right about then, you joined the Army, didn't you?
Well, we went to Pontiac, Michigan,
Oh, sure.
and couldn't get a job for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But in those days, I arrived in Michigan. I had $133 in my pocket. I sent $100 back to my mother, and I stayed in Pontiac, Michigan with $33.
Wow.
Which, we're talking 1956. It was
It'll last you a couple
decent,
weeks.
Yeah. And we're looking for jobs of all kinds, and just General Motors was laying off people, so we didn't get there as we thought we would. And one day we were walking by an Arthur Murray school of dancing,
Oh, yeah.
and they said, we're looking for teachers. I said, Manuel, let's go in. And we went, and we could hardly communicate with the people.
But you could dance.
Well, but see, that's a funny thing. To be able to dance, which everybody in Brazil does, is one thing. To teach is a different story. It's the breakdown of the steps.
Sure.
That is another completely science.
Right.
And but we talk, and they didn't know how they're going to use them. And we're about to walk out of the studio, which was on the second floor, and then you would go right into the steps in one of those buildings. And the lady, I don't know what came over, she says, you know what, let's give it a shot.
Yes.
They would have to train us 4 weeks. But in the second week, they felt that I was ready to teach. At least I could teach the people that knew less than I do.
Yes.
So let's do it. But then they got a little too brave, or they put too much trust in me. And they start giving those lady students that are gold medalists that their entire life they went to silver, gold, or platinum, whatever. And they tell me to teach them. I say, what? So I would go to the lady and say, do you know this step? She says, I do. Of course I knew. I said, do you know this? I said, no. What about this? So
You're learning.
I'm learning. I'm thinking I am. So I created the salvation step, which is so you put your foot here, twist it, over here, two to the side, twist. Do you know that one? Says, no. I said, let's work on that one.
You knew something they didn't know.
That was a salvation step.
You invented it.
And I worked with them for a while. Then I was drafted.
Oh, okay.
Because I came here legally.
Yes.
And within 6 months, December 6th, I found myself on a train going to Fort Leonard Wood.
Oh, yeah, I know where that is. Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
And you were in for 3 years?
Well, 2 years. The regular drafted thing.
Yeah.
And which I loved it because I felt that I really belong.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Number one. Number two, even though my English was 6 months was getting much better, still wasn't quite there. But on paper, I was good. So I qualified enough that when I complete basic and advanced training, my MOS, became that I was on high headquarter level as a morning report clerk.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sure.
They obviously had faith in your language and skills.
Or else I bluffed very good. But
sometimes that works.
So when they send us to Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, Camp Gordon, and I had to get the morning report dates and take to the civilians.
Right.
Because the civilians would make all the salaries, So I came there, and the lady's lucky. She says, Nelson, do us a favor. Just get the data. Don't do anything. Bring it to us. So because they didn't want mistakes either.
Yes.
So what I did was beautiful. I would get the date, take to them, and then I had the whole day for myself.
Yes.
Oh, it was great. It was great. Yeah.
It was cushy.
It was cushy. It was good. But it was wonderful. Learning the language, learning the ways.
Somebody told me that you were teaching the soldiers how to dance. How did that happen?
Yeah, we went to USO, and there was a lot of guys there. They did not know what to do. So one day I said, you know what, I can teach a bunch of you. And I would get, who knows, 40, 50, 60 guys, put them, formation and teach, like the box step.
1, 2, 3,
forward,
4.
touch, side together, back, touch, side together, by the numbers. and it was all fun. Yeah, it was all good. It was rounding me. It was Americanizing me.
I understand.
Yeah, which, like my father who came from Italy, and he believed that when you move to another country, you assimilate.
Yes.
That is your main duty.
Yes.
You don't go there telling how great your country was, because if it was that great, you should have stayed.
Yes.
If you come here, you be part of the solution and not of the problem,
And you're really a patriot. I know that about you.
I mean, I think I am a Brazilian gung-ho, because I enjoy patriotism. For me, encompasses many things, It's just, is the people, is the country, is everything, I still love Brazil because,
it was your home,
and I have my brothers there, my family and so forth. But then again, I love that, but America is my country now.
Yes, I understand.
Yes, my daughters are born here.
And I'm sure you have a message. Tell us about your upside-down U.S. flag.
Well, I have the upside-down flags right now, and everybody asks. It's because at this point in time, I think maybe perhaps that we have to bring God back a little more, openly.
Thank you for saying that.
No, I mean it, because I figure that we are in a little bit of a stress, and this. An upside-down flag denotes exactly that.
Distress.
I figure that our leaders are not playing with a full deck.
Yes, I understand.
In fact, I don't think they even have a deck.
Yes. There was a time, and I'm sure you remember it, but when I was growing up, the Pledge of Allegiance was said every day in school.
Exactly.
So help me God.
Exactly.
The 10 Commandments were always there on the board.
Exactly.
And then in the 60s, it all began to go away because of Madeleine Murray O'Hair, if you remember her, and all the Supreme Court rulings and so on.
Yes.
And I think we're suffering now, don't we?
Yes, we are. Because I don't know if you're aware of this little club that I created here in
the
Vegas.
non-club Club Fiore.
Club Fiore. Which is a club that has no reason to be. The name...
I've read the bylaws.
Yeah, the name itself is Fun Italians Organizing Ridiculous Events. But in the beginning, it was just a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Then, as the years went by, I realized, we don't curse, we're not vulgar. We should bring the ladies in.
Allow the ladies
Then
to
the
come.
club really start flourishing beautifully.
Oh,
yeah. And as the years went by, I started by putting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, I know.
And nobody, of course, said anything. And after a little while, I put the national anthem. So now we opened that club with the national anthem, Pledge of Allegiance, the invocation, and
great.
Sure.
That's
and
great.
Yeah.
I felt right at home. I appreciate your kindness in inviting me last month, and I was hyped up to see that was all happening.
Thank you.
This is the way the meetings used to be, and they should be like that.
Yes, and it's amazing how everybody enjoys. And when I ask somebody to do either one of those three things, they feel so honored, which pleases me no end, because I love that. I really do. I think patriotism is something that I flaunted, and I really feel that that's what I should do.
Yes.
And I let no one to make me ashamed of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yes. I got many blessings with the grace of God. I have many blessings to count, and there are many. And I'm continuously being grateful.
We'll talk some more about that in our next segment. Nelson, we need to take a brief break.
Why?
Well, there's a thing called commercials.
Oh, okay.
Make a little bit of money.
All right.
We'll be back with the great Nelson Sardelli right after this. Hi, I'm Dale Davidson, host of Las Vegas Tonight. You know, radio has an enduring place in the heart of America. Sometimes it's music that can enliven your spirit or keep you company when you need some. More often for me, it's just been the right spoken word or two that can quiet my mind and soul. Radio brings me a reassuring word in the quiet of night or a welcoming voice early in the morning as I shake off the night's sleep and find my way into God's purpose for my day. And always, I find the best radio station is the one that brings me the best news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. My favorite radio station is KKVV in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's still right where it's been for years, at 1060 on the AM dial, hovering over Sin City like a gospel airship, broadcasting the good news of the abounding love that Jesus Christ has for every single one of us. No matter who you are or where you live, you can receive God's Word via the KKVV Gospel Airship. Just go to kkvv.com and click on Listen Live. KKVV is using all the tools that God's provided them, like podcasting and video streaming and video on demand, to produce programs that lift up our fellow believers and save the lost. If you feel a calling to speak to others about Jesus Christ on your very own show, pick up the phone and call the station. They'll be happy to tell you how. Call KKVV today at 702-731-5588 or drop them an email at kkvvradio@hotmail.com. Please join me in becoming part of the KKVV family. You'll be glad you did. Welcome back to the Nelson Sardelli Show. How about that? Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in to Las Vegas tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Mr. Sardelli is our very special guest. What a terrific man he is, and we certainly enjoyed that first segment. If you missed it, rewind it and watch it, because it sets up everything that's going to happen in segment 2. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you. Very kind.
You are the complete entertainer. I said that up top.
Well, that's what I wrote for you to say.
You did, as a matter of fact, right there. And you've been a movie star, too. Tell us about your movies.
Movie star, it's a little pushing the envelope too much. I've been lucky to have been, cast or enrolled in a couple of movies that...
They were big movies.
They're big movies. They're big movies.
Homesick and Homesick in St. Paul.
Well, that was filmed here in Vegas also. But the ones that I really, I couldn't believe was happening to me was The Professionals. The Professionals is one of the greatest Western. Yeah,
great Western.
Burt Lancaster, Lee Marvin, Jack Palance, Robert Ryan, Ralph Bellamy, Claudia Cardinale, Jorge de Hoyos. It was a lot.
That's a classic.
Fantastic people.
Yeah.
And I worked with them for 9 weeks.
Wow.
And then a lot of my acting ended on the cutting floor. So I had
always happens.
Oh, yes. Because my part was related to the part of Jorge de Hoyos, the goat man in that movie. And the movie became a little too long, so there was some clipping. And as they would cut him off, immediately my part would become meaningless.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
And so I was in Canada, in Vancouver, when I went to see the movie, and there I was watching a Western and crying because I saw that I was...
Where am I?
Where am I?
I remember this one. I said something there.
But I still get sometimes residual checks for $3.80. So yeah, my career has been taken care of.
Now, you were in a classic movie that really changed a lot of things. Myra Breckenridge.
Well, that was I was avant-garde, way ahead of its time. Matter of fact, how can I say? I thought of the movie only related to my scene with Mae West, which was a fun camp kind of a scene.
Yes.
So I told my mother in Brazil, go see the movie.
You didn't.
And she went. The poor woman, I think, when she came out of that movie, she went and said 47 rosaries. and
it was groundbreaking.
And asked for forgiveness.
My son was a part of this thing.
Yeah, it's funny because, I didn't realize, I hadn't read about the movie.
You just did your part. Yeah.
Yeah, but which was a fun thing in itself, getting the part.
Oh, yeah.
Because my part in that movie was written by Mae West. Was a scene that she wrote for that movie.
She wrote herself.
She wrote herself. But what was happening, there was a lot of dissension and argument in the set. This is before I came on. And that part alone, they had over some 384 people audition for the part.
Wow.
For the Italian guy, which is a, one was too tall, one was too short, one was too Italian, one was not Italian enough, the other one ate pizza with a fork and knife. I mean, there was all kinds of excuses. So somebody said, what about that guy that did the show for Mayor Bradley here in town? I had done a show for, Los Angeles mayor. And I said, get him. And I was working here in Vegas, being well paid, by the way. But my manager said, Nelson,
it's a big movie.
It's a big movie. Let's go. We went. I got there and I had to audition right on the set with the lady that was a stand-in for Mae West. Mae West was not there.
Yeah.
Now, lucky for me, that day, visiting the studio was, I think, over 100 people. Some were press, some were...
Yeah.
So when I did my scene, I'm not thinking in terms of cinematography, like don't move your arms. You got to play for the camera.
Right.
Like, when...
It's a different kind of acting.
Of course, you don't move, and already shows a lot of... But anyway, luckily, the scene is something, she's sitting on the bed and I'm talking to her. And I play, but not... I was okay with the lines, but I was performing as a live entertainer, which
is what your history
I am.
is. Yeah.
And the people liked it. They thought it was funny as hell. And I said, hell, oh my.
That's okay.
And Edith Head, you remember her, the lady that designed all the costumes?
Oh, yeah.
She shouted, we found the guy! We found the guy! So they sent me to Mae West's apartment, Ravenwood. And I went to her house.
Yeah.
I went to the apartment. My manager, George Soros, he was understanding the seriousness of the moment, with the cigar. And I'm thinking, I said, I'm going to have to play in a romantic scene with a lady that is older than my mother-in-law. I wasn't thinking of, how great Mae West had been. And
she was special.
I'm thinking, we walk into that apartment, the door open, and carpet is white. The furniture is white, the curtains is white, the piano is white. I say, I'm going to get snowblind here, And this guy came and he says, here's the part, read it, and she'll be here with you in a few minutes. I say, no, young man, that's not the way it's going to go down. He says, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to take this part, come back in about a couple of hours when I know what I'm doing, and then we'll do it. He says, oh, no. And he took off the room. His feet never touched the ground. It was just beautiful,
He floated into Mae's bedroom.
This is marvelous. He just, Now, Mae West walks in the room. She walks in alone.
Yeah.
But she's third. She comes in third, even though she came alone. In front of her, there was charisma.
Yeah.
Then number 2, personality. And then Mae West.
Right.
Then I'm beginning to realize. We went towards each other for the greeting, and I missed her hand and hit her right in the solar plex. Luckily, she had a corset, and my hand went... And like you, I'm beginning to have an attack of laughter. And I'm controlling. I say, control yourself. First of all, the guy that his feet never touched the ground. Now this, it was too, and my manager with cigarette ashes falling in his lapel,
Who let these clowns?
Yeah. But then Mae West, she said, Nelson, I understand you don't want to read. I say, madam, I want to make justice for the moment. And she says, do me a favor. I knew what she was doing. We both went to the same psychological classes. You know what I mean? I know what she's doing, but I'm going with the program because she's doing it right.
Yeah.
She says, do me a favor. I just wrote this. Read with me, and then we see how it would. I say, madam, if that's how you put it, I'll read with you. Whether I get the part or not is immaterial, because it's a pleasure doing it. And we read the part, and when he finished, she was very, I would say, very, like the spiritual, says, was meant to be that way. You got the part. Wow. I said goodbye, and I had to go back to the studio and tell them I got the part. And I went downstairs. There was a telephone booth on the street. Thank God Superman was not there. I was able to use the phone.
Taking up the space.
Yeah, to call my wife. And while I was trying to call her, the attack of laughter just wasn't controllable. I was sitting on the floor telling her about the guy, the handshake. And so we went back to the studio. And the guy says, yeah, she said, it's okay. We'll let you know. I said, pal, let me tell you something. I'm working in Las Vegas. I'm getting $5,000 a week. Does it mean to you that I really care where this thing goes? I'll see you later. And I left. My manager couldn't believe. I left.
Yeah.
Got in my car, and by the time I got back to Vegas, I had the part.
That's wonderful.
It was great. It was great.
Wonderful.
Enjoy working with her and the other people that I met on the set. It was, you know.
Let me ask you about one other co-star of yours, Telly Savalas.
Well, Telly Savalas.
What was he like?
I had very little contact with him because even though our scenes are related, you know, he was
often you don't see the other stuff.
No, because I sarcastically looked at him with bitterness, and he waved at me and smiled. Snickered, but that, I mean, I was there on Tuesday and he was there on Wednesday, so I was, you know, looking mad on Tuesday and he was waving.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but it's the way it goes, you know. It's.
Let me ask you about cabaret entertainment.
Now that is what
that is really your forte.
Well,
isn't it?
Yes.
Nightclubs
again.
Yeah.
See, I believe that in my case, humor was a blessing.
Oh, yes.
Something God gave me.
You're a funny guy.
Well, I mean, I think funny.
Yeah.
Which has helped me in many ways when life was a little difficult.
Yeah.
I saw the humor in it, you know what I mean? And I was able to deal with it.
Yeah.
So even on my singing, you know, I used to do some funny stuff in songs that didn't call for it. But the singing was where the live performance was, because when I came to the States, I knew I was going to become a performer, but I did not know how.
You just felt that.
I felt it, you know.
Because you could sing and you could tell jokes.
Well, I could sing because
you could dance and
because every Brazilian sing. Right. Second, when I needed money, my father used to say, "Sing me a song," which I always sang the same song. And then I went for the School of Art Dramatics in Brazil, you know.
Oh, okay.
And it was free. And a lot of candidates, we started with 360, then we dropped to 125, then we kept dropping. And out of the 25 eligible, I was number 6.
Wow.
But then when I went in, I wasn't ready for tutus and things like this, and my feet were still touching the ground. So I gave up. Same thing with opera. I went to study opera. Me and a friend of mine from the same neighborhood, Benito Maresca, he became a big opera singer all over the world. Benito Maresca, you can Google him.
Oh, yeah.
And I went with him, but when you study opera, you know, there is no room for levity.
Yes.
You either do right or you're going to hold a spear in the background for the rest of your life. I didn't even have a spear. You know, I said, what am I going to do here? And the teacher says, you shut up until next Thursday. I said, are you crazy? So I drop out.
So tell me about your beginnings as a nightclub performer. How did that happen?
I came to the States, and again, now I got out the Army.
Yeah.
I'm looking for jobs. A friend of my uncle from Brazil, a cousin of his in Detroit, gave me a job as a construction.
Oh, that's hard work.
I went to do construction. I worked so hard that the steward came to me and says, "Come here, young man." I said, "Yes." He says, "You're making everybody look bad." He says, "Slow down."
I've been told that too.
Yeah. He said, I said, "Well, I thought it was a day's work for a day's pay." He says, "Yeah, but there are ways to do the same." But that day I went back home, I had pains in my body because of the hard work. It didn't hurt here or here. It hurt here. Here.
Yeah.
So I remember the night I sat on bed and I spoke with the Lord.
Yeah.
I said, if this is what I came to the state to do, let me go back, because over there I didn't have to do it.
You don't have to
I
do
was an
manual
economic
labor.
research and all that. So the next day I didn't even go back. I was, it
Enough
wasn't.
of this.
I went to a nightclub, actually it was a nice restaurant that had a lady that played piano.
Right.
She could play in every key. I think that was the beginning of open mic, I guess. They didn't know that.
You invented open
I
mic.
invented open mic. And I go there. I'm alone. I'm waiting for the girl that was Miss Michigan.
Wow.
I'm sitting in the bar, and I don't drink.
Right.
So I remember the gentleman that owned the place, Mr. Louis Dorman. He was Jewish, but he had become a Christian,
Yes.
And he came and he sat next to me, and he said, "Can I offer a drink?" I said, "No, sir, I don't drink. I'm having orange juice."
Yeah.
And then he looked at me, and he says, "Why don't you sing?" Because people you would get up and sing with the lady.
Yeah.
He says, "Why don't you sing?" I said, "Why don't you dance?" What kind of conversation is it? And I don't know what came over me. I got up and sang.
Yes.
I mean, I went to the piano player, and every song that I knew, she didn't, because I was talking.
Yeah.
But then we talk, and we find out, look at this repertoire. Volare, from those
Oh,
years.
sure. Great song.
Bésame Mucho, Poor Little Fool, and Rock Around the Clock. Can you imagine? 1, 2, 3 o'clock.
Big hit then.
I sung
Huge
that
hit.
night. I sung that night. The guy says, "You got a job. You do every Friday
That's fantastic.
and every other Saturday." Then I sang. He says, "You got the Saturday." Then I sang the Saturday. "You got the Thursday." Every week I gain a day.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, this goes on and on. Yeah.
We need to take another brief break, Nelson.
The pain.
He was right. He was there. He was about to tell a great joke. I interrupted. We'll be back with Nelson Sardelli right after this.
Today we may not have a thing at all, except for just a dream or two. But I've got lots of plans for tomorrow, and all my tomorrows belong to you. Right now it may not seem like spring at all. We're drifting and the laughs are few, but I've got rainbows planned for tomorrow, and all my tomorrows belong to you. No one knows better than I that luck keeps passing me by. That's fate. But with you there at my side, I'll soon be turning the tide. Just wait. As long as I've got arms that cling at all, it's you that I'll be clinging to, and all the dreams I dreamed, beg or borrow, on some bright tomorrow, they'll all come true.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Tonight. I'm your host, Dale Davidson. Nelson Sardelli is my very special guest. He has been regaling us. That's not a word I use very often, but he is doing it.
Regaling.
Regaling.
Is that something like deciduous?
That's yeah, leave it alone. Ba-ba-boom. Anyway, we've had a great time so far.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for coming
So
on.
do I.
We were talking about what it's like to be a nightclub entertainer. Let me first drop a name on you. You opened for Judy Garland?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, tell me about her and about what you were doing.
Well, it's funny. When I came to Vegas, I came to do an afternoon show. We had two shows in the afternoon, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Full houses, couldn't understand. First show, I was not the closing act.
Right.
First show. Second show, I was the closing act.
Okay.
The guy switched, they put him in there.
You swap.
Thank God. Yeah, Jerry Schaefer did that. So I was doing good. I was the big fish in the small pond. You know what I mean? Then
You were singing, you were dancing.
I was singing, I was doing my gun routine, everything,
Yeah.
you know, just humor, whatever. And just happy, you know. And then Judy Garland came to town to the Sahara.
Right.
And I was in the Thunderbird. See,
Right.
Sahara, Thunderbird, Sahara. They needed an act.
Right. The open.
No, not necessarily. See, this was funny. The opening act was the brothers that sang, "When My Baby Goes to Rio." I can't remember the guys from Australia.
Right.
They were the opening act.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Now they need 15 minutes to get the 18 musicians from the pit to go and join the other 30-something in the back to make the 36 band for her.
Oh, the full
So they go
orchestra.
through the tunnel over there. So they need somebody there to fill up that time. That's
okay.
when they say get Nelson. But they need Nelson just to do a stand-up comedy. I had never done that in my life.
Right.
I was always
Doing
Nelson
something
Sardelli. No, because let me qualify this. I'm not the greatest singer in the world. I'm not the greatest comedian in the world. I'm not the greatest dancer, not the greatest gun twirler, but I am the best Nelson Sardelli you're going to find it anywhere. I said, well, that I can do. I can be me, but he says, no, we just need the comedy. I said, then I pass. My manager again, cigarette. He says, no, you got to do it, Nelson. So we went back and forth. I said, I need a song to get out.
Yeah.
To get off. You know, I don't know how to finish. Say, well, thank you, good. Thank you very much. Comedians do that.
Right.
I don't think that was an ending for me. So they agree. And now I get the song. Go. So I went and I took the job.
Yeah. 15 minutes is a long set.
23 minutes.
23
I did
now.
23 minutes.
Wow.
When I came out, the guy said, you did 23 minutes. I said, wasn't that great? I was so lucky that the time there was Ralph Pearl, columnist in Vegas.
Yeah.
And everybody had written everything about Judy Garland. So he wrote his entire column about me.
Wow.
Yeah, which was, you know.
That's nice.
So I just went to the dressing room and I told, you know, Ms. Garland, it's a pleasure to be working with you. Thank you. That was on a Monday. The following Monday, you know, then we didn't talk the whole week.
Yeah.
Next Monday, she called me over. She says, I want you to escort me and we go see Las Vegas. And we went, man, photographers all over the place.
Wow.
And it was, you know, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I remember one night after the show, I did the show and I came, you know, out and this guy came to me and says, I gotta shake your hand. I said, God, I made it. The man wants to shake my hand. I am a star. He says, I want to shake your hand because I know that backstage you must have touched. I said, God, how can they burst my balloon with not even a warning? But that was good. That was beautiful. You know, it's
That's great.
It's enjoyable. It's like I said, it's so good. Even sometime when it was bad, was all good.
All good.
Yeah.
Well, we share a familial connection then.
Yes.
Because I once went out on the town in Denver, Colorado with Liza Minnelli,
Oh,
the daughter.
is that right?
Yes,
Sure.
Yes. I met her at a TV station, because she was there promoting Sterile Cuckoo, which is one of her first movies. And she took a liking to me, and we went out on a date.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
in a limo. So,
Yeah.
isn't that nice? We have that in common.
There you go. I never met her.
So tell me a little bit about, I want to delve into the cabaret business again. Do you prefer a larger room or a smaller room?
Well,
Tell me about the audiences that you like the most.
For me, makes no never mind.
Really?
Because I work the Catskills and the rooms that sometimes it's
And the
3,000
Poconos,
people.
too?
The Poconos.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I worked here in main room. I worked in Australia, the Opera House. I even sang at the Carnegie Hall.
Really?
Yeah, it was a benefit show. Nevertheless, I sang at the Carnegie Hall.
That counts.
Yeah, it counts, right?
That counts.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No. It's
That reminds me of that great New York joke. Somebody, do you know this
practice.
one? Yeah.
You got to practice. Yeah.
That's it. How do I get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice, man. Practice.
Get boom.
I had crossed my leg and I was told by
Your wife,
Yeah.
lovely Lorraine.
yes.
Yeah, who was here today, and we're
But
enjoying each other.
it's Las Vegas. It's my city. I love the city. I lived at many places in the world. I even lived in Italy in the 60s, and I love it. I love Australia. But Vegas fits me.
Yeah.
I am
You're a
home
Vegas
here.
guy.
I am a Vegas guy.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
enjoy. It's a great city. People from out the city, they think that Las Vegas is just the Strip.
Yes.
It is a Strip, but Las Vegas, World Place is such a wonderful place.
Yeah.
You go 20 miles, you are on Red Rock, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
go another
You go
35
skiing,
miles.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't ski, but I go.
Yeah. No. Speaking of Vegas guys, I know you knew Sammy Davis.
Yes,
Jr.
I did.
Tell me about him. What he was.
I
like.
think he was a fantastic entertainer.
Yeah.
I mean,
He could do everything.
everything. He was the best, I think unequal. In fact, one thing that happened is there was a time when a football player called Deacon Jones,
Oh, I remember.
he
Deacon
was
Jones.
doing
Yeah.
shows. He want to be a singer.
Yeah.
After the game, they would go to the Coconut Grove
Oh, okay.
in
yeah.
Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
And
he'd
he
sing.
would do a show and invite stars to be in the show.
Yeah.
It was a great thing on Sunday afternoon.
Sure.
And I kept inviting everybody. Finally, they invited me.
Yeah.
I remember flying from the Catskills, and the show was on a Sunday. And there I was, and I find out that in the show, Deacon Jones had Sammy Davis Jr.
Wow.
and had two personalities, radio personalities of LA that were going to do 8 minutes comedy.
Right.
And me.
Yeah.
So immediately in my mind, being a producer, I knew that I would open the show because I was
Yeah.
the least known.
Right.
The local guys from the radio, Sammy Davis Jr. and Deacon Jones would do that.
Right.
But no, when I came to the guy, so I said, so I go first. He says, no, it's Sammy Davis a little uptight. He goes first. And he only going to do 2 or 3 songs. I said, pal, who are you kidding? He does 2 or 3 songs when you open the refrigerator and the light comes on. He said, that's when he does 2 or 3 songs. I said, he says, yeah, then the comedian guys do a thing and then you. I couldn't believe. I said, somebody wake me up,
Yeah.
And this one, I believe that God is watching for you when the right time is needed.
Yes.
So the show starts. Deacon Jones sang his song, and the kind of song that when he finished, gonna go, yeah, means I'm finished. Time to applaud. Yeah. So now I bring Sammy Davis Jr. Oh, by the way, the rehearsal was a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Were all black musicians, and the conductor was a white guy. He used to be the conductor for Tony Martin, if I'm correct.
Oh, okay.
So there was tension.
Yeah, they weren't
So
getting along.
not only did I get along, I got to rehearse my woman, my wife, Volare, and a Dean Martin shtick, and that was it. It didn't make sense. That wasn't what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But that was
That's
they
what
gave
they
me.
wanted.
That's what they gave me. They boom, done. So now Sammy Davis goes and gently does only 45 minutes of his closing numbers. You know what I mean? The Candy Man. What kind of fool am I? I mean, but oddly enough, he didn't get a standing ovation. You know,
Really?
people applaud, of course, Sammy Davis Jr. Now comes the two guys following him.
We're supposed to be 8 minutes.
They said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so-and-so, as you know. We usually do an 8 minutes comedy. But today, because we are also very intelligent men, the best thing for us to do is to introduce Mr. Nelson Sardelli. And they took off.
Yeah.
And there I come.
Yeah.
And like I said, the good Lord was with me. I went there and I did 45 minutes with only those two songs. I went with jokes and things, and people were loving, and Sammy Davis Jr. is taking pictures of me, and I'm hearing bam, bam, backstage, some noise. And I got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
So now the moment I got out of the room, I see and there is a door in my dressing room had been knocked down.
Wow.
My manager grabs me, says, let's go to your room. I said, George, I want to, just a moment. There is some basking here in the sun for me. He says, no, Nelson. Well, let's go out. And he couldn't hear me and take it. And then a guy escort me. And I put my arm around him, said, did you enjoy the show? And he had a
gun.
A gun. I said, oh.
A gat.
I said, it's an automatic, just like the one I carry. You know, because I did carry. I do carry. Anyway.
So keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. Yeah, keep the cameras on me. Anyway, so we go to the room, and there was no way that George would let me go downstairs and have somebody back home.
Yeah.
Tap my back. It's a good show, kid. You know, that's all I want.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He said, Nelson, did you hear the noise? He says, get that out the stage. You know, the guy was mad.
Who was it? Oh, the producer.
Deacon Jones.
Deacon Jones was tearing your place up.
Yeah, he said, the guys are going to do a number on you. I said, do a number on me? He said, yeah, they had guns. I said, George, what do you think this is? You know, it was funny. It was too ridiculous. And I said, now there was no way he was going to hold me there. I went downstairs, but then the show was over. Everybody had gone. Nobody there had seen my show. They couldn't.
It was over.
Okay, now listen to this, how life is funny. Next day, I'm in Vegas, and Joe Delaney had an afternoon show.
Yes.
And guess who the guests are? Sammy Davis Jr. and yours truly. We're sitting there, and I'm talking to Sammy. I said, Sammy, a funny thing happened yesterday. He said, what? I said, after I did my show, those guys were going to do a number on me. He says, they're going to do what? I said, they're going to do a number on me. He says, I never heard of anything like that, but I told them to leave you alone. I say, right on, Sammy, right on. It was funny.
Saved your life.
Yeah, it saved my life.
That's a funny one.
It was funny. It was funny.
That's funny.
Yeah, and
that's a great story.
Well,
Nelson?
it's in my book. It's coming in my book.
Oh, yeah. Tell everybody the name of the book.
I don't know when I'm going to finish, but it's coming in my book. The name of the book is Now That They're All Dead. It's an autobiography. It's my autobiography as told to me by third parties.
I can hardly wait to read it.
As told to me by others, yes.
Now, as soon as that's done, you have an open invitation. Come on the show whenever you want.
That means,
and we'll promote the book.
No, that means I ain't coming back.
When you're thinking about the book, come back.
Okay, all right.
Because you've been a great guest.
Thank you.
Nelson, we're running out of time. It's hard to believe an hour has just ripped by.
Well, thank you, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a favor.
Sure.
And we talked about it briefly. That's your camera right there.
Yes.
Would you mind addressing the audience? And you're a religious man, you're a godly man, and I would like them to not only know that you're a terrific entertainer, but that you are a godly man. So if you would address them on why Jesus is important in their lives, please. Take the time you need and say
As I said, I am very lucky, very blessed, because I hear of many people, they say, gee, I have just found Jesus. I am so happy for them. They're lucky. But I personally have always been with Jesus. He has been with me. God has been with me. I am blessed. I am on my knees every night thanking, because my blessings are many. I am happy with the life that God has given me. And I tell you, if you have God life in your life, nothing is impossible. For you people in Brazil, se vocês deixam Deus entrar na sua vida sempre irá para frente.
Oh, thank you, Nelson.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Bless
Thanks
you
for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to the next Fiore meeting, if you'll allow me to come.
Please do. Please do. It's a must.
And it's at the Italian American
It's at
Club.
the Italian American Club, which we are not associated with them in any other ways.
Right.
That's our venue.
Yes.
They open the club only for us during the day on the second Thursday of every month.
That's wonderful.
And it's a wonderful
So
combination.
join Nelson. It's a
Yes.
great time.
God bless you. God bless America.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Nelson Sardelli, a terrific guest, and we got to have him back real soon.
Thank you.
As I try to remember to say each and every episode of Las Vegas Tonight, when it comes to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please walk with him. God bless you. Thanks for watching.
You can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. You can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by names to make a trap of fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and fill them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, not lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all have counted you but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
the ages, humanity is often gathered in prayer, especially in times of crisis and need. It's a natural response, but who are we speaking to? Is prayer merely a platitude or emotional cliche?
Yahoo!
Or is there a God on the other end of the line? And if so, can we speak to Him? And what is He saying? What exactly is prayer? Theologian John Piper describes prayer as intentionally conveying a message to God. He also outlines 3 main approaches to prayer, which each depend on how you view God. If your perspective is that God is in everything and everything is God, including you, me, the sunrise, the humpback whale, the smoke lightly wafting from the sun, well, you get the picture. Prayer from this perspective is all about connecting with the divinity within us and around us. The only problem is that if we are part of God, prayer can feel like a one-sided conversation. If you feel like God exists, but He's distant and unapproachable, then prayer can become about developing special techniques or higher levels of devotion and holiness in order for our words to reach God's ears.
Hello?
Or we just give up trying. However, when you read the Christian Bible, God shows Himself not to be distant or silent, but to be personable, accessible, and a creator who speaks. In the creation story, we see Him literally speak each created thing into existence, as if to open an external conversation with His creation.
Howdy.
And throughout the Bible, He consistently speaks to humanity. So if God speaks,
Ciao.
how do we speak to Him? A big part of God's conversation with humanity was the person of Jesus, who God sent to earth as the human manifestation of Himself.
Thank you very much.
So that He could talk to us directly. The Bible literally refers to Jesus as the Word, God's Word. And He gave a direct answer when His friends asked Him about how to speak to God. Jesus says prayer is simply and honestly talking to God. If something is on your mind, if there's a situation where you don't know what to do, you can talk to God about it. You don't have to pray in a church, and you don't have to sound religious. God loves you and wants you to be real with Him. You can pray out loud. You can pray silently. He listens wherever and whenever. So how do we hear God? God's voice is described in the Bible as a still, small voice. Many people hear back from God by quieting the noise around them and pausing to listen. Or by reading the Bible, which God also calls His Word. The more you talk with someone, the more you get to know who they are. The God who speaks has started the conversation. If you haven't spoken in a while, why don't you try to pick it up again? It could change your life.
Come on and shine, shine, shine. Las Vegas, shine your light on me.
You've been watching Las Vegas Tonight with your host, Dale Davidson. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of our show. We so appreciate your loyalty to our program. To keep Las Vegas Tonight on the air, please go to our website, vegassaints.org, and click the Donate button. To send a check or money order, please make it out to Dale Wynn Davidson Ministries and mail it to 9030 West Sahara Avenue, Suite 255, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89117. To suggest a guest to appear on the show or any other suggestions or questions, write to Dale at dalewdavidson@yahoo.com or call him at 702-480-8255.